We will review how to go through a unit. Each unit begins with an overview that has the summary of the entire unit and the main learning objectives of the unit. Then in order to achieve those learning objectives, these are the following things we'll complete. Next, you'll go through the content pages. Our first content page is an introduction. You have a summary of this topic, which unit objectives it'll address, and the learning objectives for that specific topic. And then here you'll have the resources to go through that topic. For example, you'll always have lectures and labs. The lectures are given in a PowerPoint format. So if we open this, you will get the following. PowerPoint. I will now briefly run you through the resources in the PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint is the basis for each of your lectures. So you will go through them slide by slide. The first slide is the title page. Then you'll see big lecture questions. These are the big overarching questions with the key topics that you'll be addressing in this lecture. Now you go through the content slides, and certain resources you have are audio files. So if you click play, the audio files are myself reading the notes that are actually provided here. So this is the script of the audio file. Some slides just have notes below that you can read that were typed out by myself. Other slides have video links and they'll say video. Some slides will have links to your Canvas course, for example, the meet and greet discussion. Moving through. For example, this slide refers you to the lab manual posted on Canvas and also has an audio of the text below. The lectures are meant to be interactive. So throughout the entire lecture, I constantly ask you questions, which are good examples in practice of questions you could receive on the exam. So you'll know it's a question. You'll see a little check mark in the corner. And this check mark refers to a question that you'll want to answer in your learning journal. So the learning journal is a Word document that compiles all of the questions that I asked in lecture. So I recommend going through and answering these questions in real time. Don't worry about right or wrong answers. You really want to just interact and write down your thoughts. Some of the slides will have lecture videos that I have made myself of the following slides, while other slides will have lecture videos from very helpful resources off of YouTube. So speaking of videos, I know some videos are very popular. I recommend starting and mostly using the videos that I provide in the lecture slides because I've gone through and either made them myself or searched the internet for content that is of the appropriate level for us to use, or sometimes they come from your actual book. So speaking of book, you'll notice that some of the figures have a number on it, for example, 1.1, and those refer to your textbook figures. So that brings me to the textbook. Yes, it is very critical that you actually access and read the textbook. Seldom are students successful without referring to the textbook. You'll notice that these lecture slides are an outline and they follow closely the textbook. I made these slides by going through and highlighting the key points of the textbook you need to know. So I would have your textbook open with the lecture slide and refer to and read the sections of the textbook that overlap, and especially focusing on the figures that I use. Let me pull up the textbook really quickly for you to take a look at. So here's your textbook. You'll notice the first topic, the Intro to Physiology, starts with what is the scientific method, which is our main topic. And second, it talks about homeostasis and feedback control, which is our second main topic. And if you scroll down, you'll notice here is the first figure that I use in by lecture. So again, definitely refer to the textbook and read the parts that overlap. If there's something in the textbook that we don't directly cover in lecture, you're not responsible for that. You can always ask me if you have questions on what is covered and what is not. So back to the lecture. So you have all of those resources within your PowerPoint slides. So again, you have notes on the bottom, you have audio files, and you have videos, and you have the interactive questions. At the end of each lecture, you'll see a summary. You'll see the questions restated, and then a brief summary of the topics we covered to address those questions. So now going back to the Canvas site, notice the learning objective, describe homeostasis and how it's maintained by feedback was one of the main topics of lecture, and identify the scientific method was another main part of the lecture. Now the second part, apply to the lab reports and compare and contrast original articles for those written for the public, that comes from your lab manual. So you'll notice here that you have a link to your lab manual. And for this first topic, you'll want to read the scientific methods and articles. You'll read and answer some questions and submit, and lab report guideline. And then here's also a link to your learning journal. So that is one topic. And then we can proceed to the next topic, which is chemistry. And you'll see a similar format. You'll see the lecture posted and then the lab that we'll address together. And that will be our first in-person lab. So if you click on the lab, for each lab, what I recommend is that you read the introduction before coming to lab. That way you'll have an understanding and it'll make the lab go smoother. And I will also give you a heads up if there's any lecture topics that you should be covering before you come into lab. At the end of your unit, there is a summary page. So on the summary page, we review what we completed. It has information about the upcoming exam, and it'll have an exam study guide. The study guide is taken from both lecture and lab, and you'll notice it's the same major themes covered in lecture, and the terms underneath with questions to help you answer the larger question. So what I recommend for this study guide is not to go through and just memorize the terms that are highlighted, but really go through and explain and respond to the question. And again, another great source of studying is all of the questions embedded within the lectures themselves. And for the very first unit exam, we do have some practice questions for you to work through. And that will help you complete one unit.